everyone. We're a little bit late coming out of executive session, so thank you for your patience. We'll begin the meeting in just a moment, but first we'll have a prayer and we'll honor our flags. If you would, please pray with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing that it is to live, work, and serve in Clovis. And Lord, having just celebrated Independence Day, we thank you for this great country. We thank you for the blessings that we enjoy as Americans. And we pray, Lord, that we would live up to the ideals and to the standards set by those that were courageous enough to create this country. And Lord, thank you for the opportunities that we have in Clovis to do good things and celebrate the good going on in our community. And Lord, we pray that our work would be pleasing and honoring to you. We ask your blessing over our meeting this evening. Give us wisdom and good judgment, and we will give you the honor and glory. And I pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Please join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Bryant? Commissioner Casals? Commissioner Porter? Mayor Pro Tem Bryant? Here. Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. So we have Commissioner George Jones joining us on the phone, and absent are Commissioners Casals and David Bryant, correct? Okay. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Unless there are objections to how the agenda has been published, and I'm not hearing or seeing any, we will adopt the agenda as it is before you. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the Thursday, June 15th regular City Commission meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. You've had the opportunity to review them unless there are objections.
Mayor, I do actually have one correction, a couple corrections.
Okay,
I just noticed that there's a couple of votes on the minutes from the last meeting that says I was away, and I was there, I voted yes, and my screen wasn't working.
That's right. You had to voice vote several times last time. Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other corrections? Okay, with that, one note about Commissioner Paula's votes at the Thursday, June 15th meeting. We will adopt those minutes. Thank you. Next, we have recognition of visitors and guests, and that'll give way to proclamations, awards, and presentations where we have one thing I want to do this evening, but before introducing a hero as it is, and she rolls her eyes, but she is. I just want to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. I see department directors here, several members of the public, and we certainly appreciate your interest in what your local government is doing. And thank you for attending. Look forward to hearing from you when we reach the point in the agenda that you wish to share with us this evening. But I want to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Miss Tammy Noya. And I'm pronouncing that correctly, right? I am. Okay, Miss Tammy Noya. Mayor Pro Tem Bryant and I went out to Potter Pool on Monday to meet Miss Noya and have her share in a little bit more detail about something that the Parks Department had shared with me, and that is that Ms. Noya is a regular at Potter Pool with her grandchildren. How many do you usually have with you? 5. You usually have 5 grandchildren. But more than just a patron, she is a certified American Red Cross water watcher. And so in addition to, enjoying the pool and allowing her grandkids the opportunity to enjoy Potter Pool, Ms. Noya is watching the water and making sure that kids are staying safe. And on June 26th, she was watching. And Ms. Noya, would you? I hate to put you on the spot, but would you come to the podium? Yeah. But well, no. Let's have you right there. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I invite you to this, and then we put you on the spot like this. But but I want the community to know what you did on June 26th. You were watching the water as you always do, keeping everyone safe.
I sat in a certain area, and this particular day I sat with my feet dangling in the pool. Just for a little bit. I still have my spot. My chair was still there. But I noticed a tiny little girl, 3 maybe. They had the vest on, and her mom had a little tiny baby right here. And she had got out of the pool, and I just continued to watch her because I thought, she has the vest on, but if she gets where she can't touch anymore, what's going to happen? And what happened was, I thought the vest would save her. She don't know how to control the vest, which I didn't know that. So when she couldn't touch anymore, she goes face first, and arms start going, and she can't bring herself back up at that point. So I jumped in and grabbed her by the arm and had her to her mother.
Yeah, handed her to her mom.
Yeah.
And
She was crying, she was upset, but she did get back in the pool, and she wasn't scared, and that was nice. So
around the time you were getting her back upright or out of the water, the lifeguards were headed into the water as well, correct? But you beat them to it.
there was a lifeguard, we were probably the same distance from the child, and I don't think that she had actually seen her before. I was already in the water. I don't think she came in, but she was definitely standing guard.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, it was just it's just too great of a story to not make
Well, let me tell you,
emphasize
too,
it and
today
highlight it.
Today I was at the pool, and I get a lot of parents that are super, super sweet, because I will whistle and I will tell you, quit running, because I've seen kids get hurt and bust their heads open. But today I had 2 parents that weren't so happy. And so I have to just remind him that I'm a water watcher, and I'm here for the safety of your children. So,
And if you would, tell us what becoming a water watcher involves.
just no drugs, alcohol in your system. I'm not there to enjoy the pool. I'm there to watch, and that's what I do. And just make sure that it says on my card, no running. To stop dangerous activities is what it says, and that's what I try to do. No horse playing. I
Right.
grew up with the pool. We used to jump off the house. I know. So,
Yeah.
but we can't
Well,
do that stuff there.
Commissioners, I want to let you know that Mayor Pro Tem and I we headed out to the pool on Monday afternoon, and presented Ms. Noya with a outstanding citizen certificate, and spent some time visiting with her and her grandkids, and we posed for a photo with the pool staff and the grandkids and everyone, and that
Viral.
and that photo is it's out on Facebook, so I encourage everyone to go look and join in congratulating her on being an outstanding citizen and watching out for our kids. Thank you very much. So then next we'll move into receipts of petitions and communications. We have I have several things that I wanted to mention now during this portion of the agenda. But actually, something I wanted to do was Mr. Petty is here. Mr. Randy Petty is here. And I wanted to make mention in our consent agenda tonight is a agenda item. I'm scanning for it now. Number 10. It is request for approval, nope. Yes, that's right. Request for approval of resolution number 3206, 2023, granting approval of street name change for Sunrise Circle to David Petty Circle. And didn't want that to just slip through on the consent agenda tonight without talking about that. And Mr. Petty, could I put you on the spot? Would you like to come and we're very happy to see this recommendation coming from Planning and Zoning, and very proud to see this city, or see this street named for your father, a great man, and a great contributor to our community over the years. And so thanks for being here and for giving us that opportunity to name that street. Appreciate you, sir.
Well, I
Would you like to
appreciate
share
you,
anything?
too. I'm thankful for everyone that helped get us to this point, and for Legacy Church and their leadership to stand behind it enthusiastically. Some of my friends on Planning and Zoning were pretty enthusiastic about it, and very sentimental. My dad is in a place now that doesn't remember everything, but I do remember growing up. He served this community, loves Clovis, still does. Did a lot of projects, built a lot of churches, a lot of developments, oversaw a lot of big projects for the CIDC, and I'm very appreciative of the honor to have some recognition that will live on. Be a lot of folks get mail with his name on it from now on, so I do appreciate everybody's help.
Yeah, isn't that great?
And
Oh,
he
what a
is
thought.
very deserving, and I'm maybe biased, but he is very deserving.
Yeah.
He gave a lot to this community. So.
Now, when I talked to you earlier, you mentioned that is it an anniversary celebration that's taking place?
Their 70th anniversary was yesterday, and we're
Okay.
celebrating it close to where they're staying on Saturday.
Wonderful.
70 years.
Wow, wonderful. Well, your dad's a great man, and I'm glad. I love that thought that a lot of people will get mail with your dad's name on it. That's neat. So, thanks for that opportunity, and thanks for joining us this evening to share on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you. I wanted to just in communications, I wanted to take a minute and just update the public as well as you, Commission, on a couple of things. As you know, healthcare access is a heavy subject these days. Has been for many years. In particular, in the rural part of our state, healthcare access and the healthcare field is a tough field and a heavy lift, but just wanted to let the public know and update you, Commission. I know that you're aware of much of the effort going in, but with healthcare access, we're looking at that a couple of different ways. One, in support of Cannon Air Force Base, because they bring with them an additional population with more needs and different dynamics, but what's good for Cannon Air Force Base is good for Clovis and the region, and so we need improved or the best health care that we could possibly get for the residents of Clovis, as well as those with AFSOC whom we share our community. The Military Affairs Committee, a committee of the Chamber of Commerce, has a subcommittee focused on healthcare access, and they're doing a lot of great work. That's headed up by Brian Ellis, and they're doing a lot of good work, and that's ongoing. And they're working very closely with Cannon Air Force Base, and that's very much the emphasis of that subcommittee. I've for my part, and what I've tried to help with, I pushed for and got a phone call meeting with Senator Heinrich to visit with him about the situation and see what assistance we may get from him. It was a very good phone call, and he offered several resources and even had an idea about a partnership with UNM Medical School, and there's several follow-ups from that call. I've been in communication multiple times with the governor's office and with others who are working on reform legislation that will most likely get in front of the legislature in the next session. And the low-hanging fruit on reform is decreasing the malpractice limits that doctors have to buy insurance to manage. There's got to be some way that we can retain more. I say we, the state of New Mexico, can retain more of those medical students graduating from UNM, and then, of course, increased Medicaid reimbursement is is something that's of focus. And I've tried to provide input there and stay in the loop, and hoping to see something in the way of reform. I was involved in a meeting between the AFSOC commander, General Bauernfeind, and the top man with Presbyterian Healthcare System back on the 9th of June. That was a meeting that was arranged by Lonnie Leslie, the president of the board at PRMC, which Mayor Pro Tem sits on, and a lot of good discussion there. I've had meetings with the interim leadership of PRMC, as is Mayor Pro Tem. We've met with the county commission and worked to put our heads together and made sure that we're in lockstep as we advocate for and lobby for the absolute best situation for healthcare access we can get for our community. And now, again, with the help of the president of the hospital board, Lonnie Leslie, we are working on a meeting that Mayor Pro Tem and I, as well as 2 representatives from the county commission, we plan to go and meet with the new president of Presbyterian, and we want to get that done this summer. I'm committed to supporting the team. I kind of just told you about a lot of people working on this and leaning into this, and I'm committed to supporting them and getting the best outcomes for Clovis and Cannon Air Force Base. I'm pleased with the effort that's going in, and again, just committed to doing my part to advocate for improved healthcare access for Clovis and Cannon. Happy to see all of that moving forward. Mayor Pro Tem, anything that you would add?
No, Mayor, you covered it well. I'm
Okay.
committed as well, and
Okay.
look forward to moving forward with PRMC and hopefully bringing in some more providers.
Yeah, very good. Definitely cheering for Presbyterian and PRMC as we look to them for our healthcare needs, and we know that with maybe some reform and getting creative with how maybe they could recruit and compensate, maybe we can make some headway. But we're definitely leaning in. It's all hands on deck and all options on the table. Next, I just want to make sure the public is aware. I have asked for the development of a proposed resolution that would come before the commission, and this resolution, simply put, would create a situation where when it comes to elected officials traveling, elected officials will police one another on that, and that's what I want to see happen with that resolution. In addition, I've asked for the development of an ethics ordinance, and we've already started work on that. And an ethics ordinance would, not only underline the importance of ethics in these seats up here, but across the city as an organization, but it would give us the established process for handling complaints or concerns that may come forward. Next, I wanted to, or lastly, I wanted to hit on and just make sure the public is aware of the issue that has arisen, that many may have read about or heard about, or one way or another are aware of, but I want to make sure that everyone in the public is aware of this issue with a commissioner that has at minimum misused public funds and then been dishonest about that. And so I just wanted to share, and I'm very disappointed that Commissioner David Bryant isn't here this evening, because I had hoped that maybe he would finally have some sort of explanation for what occurred. But Commissioner David Bryant told us that he wanted to attend the New Mexico Municipal League's Municipal Official Leadership Institute training, or it's referred to as MOLLE, back at the beginning of June. And he went to do that, and he had a hotel room that was direct billed to the city, and there was a registration fee involved with the training that he was to attend. However, ultimately, something came up and he did not attend the training. I became aware of that and thought there would at some point be, some sort of explanation for that. So I was very surprised when at the last city commission meeting on June 15th, Commissioner Bryant reported to the commission and to the public that he had attended the training. And even though he had not, and so it was at that time that I became very concerned that we have a problem. And so I approached him in person after the meeting to have discussion about that. He did not wish to discuss that with me. So in writing, I communicated to him the next day on the 16th my concerns and called on him to replace the money that the city had expended on this trip. And due to his misuse of that money or wasting of it, and combined with his dishonesty about this, I asked for his resignation. And so I've asked him to replace the public funds and resign his commission seat. I followed that up with communication to him on the 19th, again appealing to him to take care of that in basically in a way where he would have some control and about maybe formulating a statement or an explanation and those kinds of things. On the 28th of June was when I officially asked for the development of the resolution and the ordinance that I already talked to you about. And that work started, and I hope to get that in front of the commission. It won't do anything for us on this one, but going forward, we will have some more checks in place to prevent these types of failures in the future. As I visited with the New Mexico Municipal League board president, he actually suggested to me that because of this ethics concern that I might file a complaint with the State Ethics Commission on this. And so I'm not sure about their jurisdiction locally, still have some question about that, but I did, at his suggestion, go ahead and follow through with that. And so I have filed a complaint with the State Ethics Commission, and they are reviewing that for jurisdiction. And and I just remain troubled about this whole thing. We're talking about behavior that is unacceptable on the part of an elected official, the type of behavior that causes the public to mistrust or distrust us as elected officials. And so I can't tolerate it, and so I'll continue to call it out, and I would call it out if any of these elected officials had done something like that. It would certainly be called out if I had done something like that. And so, given that, his words and actions are at minimum a major ethics concern, and that he's offered no explanation up to this point. He's not here this evening to talk to us about this. And I, my finding this to be unacceptable behavior on the part of an elected official, my call on him to replace the money and resign stands. And if he will not resign, if he will not replace the money, then the voters in District 3 will have the final say as to whether or not what he's done is acceptable. And with that, I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware of the timeline, what I did when I knew what I know now. I fully expected going into the commission meeting on the 15th, before the meeting I asked him if he would like to give a report. I fully expected him, because I knew he hadn't attended the training. I figured he would say, no, I'm not giving a report. Something came up. I didn't ultimately do it. But instead, he chose to tell all of you that he did attend it. And so just very, very, very concerning. So with that, Mayor Pro Tem or Commissioners, anything from any of you while we're in communications before we offer the floor up to the public?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to
Commissioner
say
Porter?
something. As all this started to come out and we learned about these actions from Commissioner Bryant, and gosh, I wish he was here to be able to respond to this, but as his own choice, he chose not to be here. I did not, in my heart, I searched for ways, and I think I even propose the question to a couple of the commissioners is there any other resolution for this? And how does this get fixed? And I could not, I just could not come up with another solution. And so I felt the need to, and I think I'm telling this to the public because I want the public to understand the path that I've taken on this. As I gathered information that came through us locally, I felt the need to call and do my own research and investigation. So I made multiple calls to people that had reported that Commissioner Bryant had not attended the training, that he came up and made a report that he had indeed been there. And I found out this. I found out from Municipal League staff that Commissioner Bryant had checked into the hotel, and I found out that he attended the very first part of the meeting, which is the introduction, the very earliest part. He did not pick up his badge or his credentials or any of the paperwork, and that's been clearly stated. I was reported by Municipal League staff that shortly after the introduction started, they did not see Mr. Bryant attend any of the other 2.5 days of meetings. And so, of course, that's troubling. I've called and visited with other people that were subjects in this, and all the reports are the same. I was hopeful that that this would have Commissioner Bryant would have had offered some kind of explanation of some sort, and to date he has not. I was so compelled that I reached out to Commissioner Bryant and made a plea to him, and I had asked him very specifically, if you had sat with anybody at a table, if you knew their first name, if you had introduced yourself and they introduced themselves, if you had their first name, please share it. If you had their last name, please share it. And if you knew the municipality in which they were associated with, their position within the city, whether it was whatever their position was, if they were in attendance and they saw you there and they could corroborate this, I want to put this to an end. I want for you to tell me. I'll help do the legwork. I'll get the Municipal League's roster. I'll make the phone calls. I'll reach out to the people so I can get corroboration and this can be ended. Commissioner Bryant never responded to me. And that absence of response is disturbing to me. And I think when you make a bad judgment call, I believe that you can ask for an apology, and you can apologize for that event, and that apology can be accepted. When you cross what I would consider, for lack of a better phrase, conduct unbecoming a municipal officer, and you come up knowing that you have not been at the meeting, and you give a report about how great the meetings are, and that every officer should do that, that is deeply disturbing to me. And that is absolutely, in my opinion, conduct unbecoming a municipal officer. And that is crossing a line. And I think that the request for resignation is in order. And that's ultimately up to Commissioner Bryant to do so. I would hope that he would take the road of honor and stand up before the public and apologize. I hope that at the very least that happens. But I do not believe that just an apology rectifies a willful and conscious misleading of the public that you attended a meeting that you clearly did not attend. And and that's all I have to say.
All right, thanks, Commissioner Porter. Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, anyone else?
Mayor, I'll just make a quick comment.
Okay, yeah.
You know, as elected officials,
Mayor Pro Tem, do you mind turning on your mic?
there it is.
There you go.
Okay. As elected officials, we have a responsibility to the public to be responsible and accountable for what we do. We have to take responsibility for everything that we do as elected officials. So, you know, I mean, I've been a commissioner for 15 years, and when you go to the conferences and these meetings, you go to learn how to do your job better and learn how to help your municipality move forward. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, so, I mean, thanks for the additional comments. I just, you know, after the news story and the different things, I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware of what's occurred, and specifically the residents of District 3 are aware of what's occurred, what your options are, and with that, we'll move on, and we are in receipts of petitions and communications. This is the portion of the meeting where if members of the public have something they want to bring forward, they're welcome to do so, and we'll give you that opportunity now.
Thank you, Commissioners, Mayor, for having me to speak. I'm Farrell DeFore, 624 Providence Circle.
Just a minute, Mr. DeFore. IT, we're going to need the timer, please.
Ready?
Go ahead.
The paper said that you had learned from Justin Holwalt and Claire Barrows that David may not have attended. Now we hear that, yeah, he was there part of the day. Could it be even more? Could it be 2 days? Could it be, you know, who knows? How many people were there at that meeting? I'm aware of 4 people that saw David, and I tried to do the investigation myself, Gene, and the truth of the matter is not one of the 4 called me back, emailed me, or text me. Mayor, you have harassed David Bryant mercifully, belittled him, besmirched him, ever since he brought the ordinance to the commission. Your anger and hostility has been well documented. The people of Clovis are not brainless, as you said. You know a hit job. We do know a hit job when we see it. We've seen the hostility that you have towards David. It's been very recognizable. Did you have the same hostility towards Mr. Bryant, Mr. Garza, for seconding the motion? I don't guess so. Maybe it's because they're power in the cloud. You know, I'd like to ask you, Mayor, were you reimbursed for your trip to Santa Fe for speaking for Rebecca Dow? If so, how much was you reimbursed? What was it for? Were you there for the entire meeting? Did you come in late? Did you leave early? Be very careful with your answer. Was that approved by the city commission to go and spend city funds to do so? If not, I'm going to make a demand that you return those funds immediately. What about the trips to Washington, D.C. that never got authorization from the commission? Did you ask for reimbursement? If so, how much? What was it for? The mayor's duty in section 5.2 says you'll preside at all the meetings of the commission, perform other duties. Constituents with his or her office as imposed by the commission. I believe the commission has allowed you to go rogue. Why is that? Did anybody oppose you concerning the ordinance? Yes, they did. There were several people that opposed you, and we ended up on the tip of the spear, and that included me. You called us log jammers, you called us distractors, but our only purpose was to save the unborn and allow abortion centers to be stopped in Clovis, New Mexico. You told the city that you were working on a plan months before we ever started. We had an IPRA, and we never saw any record of that you were working on a plan. You lied to the people of Clovis. You never brought a plan to the commission. You never brought a plan to the people. I went to the Republican breakfast the last 2 months ago, and I thought you and I would bury a hatchet. I said hello to you. And you flew into a state of rage, following me out the door, shouting at me, because I said hello to you. No wonder David hasn't spoken.
Time's up, Mr. DeFore.
No wonder David
Time's
hasn't
up.
spoken to you. I wouldn't speak to you either, sir.
Time's up. Thanks.
I'd like answers. And your resignation.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. My name's Charles Otero. I live at 1201 Rosewood Drive, Clovis, New Mexico. Had a lot more to talk about after I showed up tonight. Number one, I would like to encourage you in your executive meetings to forge forward on protecting the ordinance, doing what's right for all the people, including the unborn. I know it's tough, and I appreciate all that you've done. Don't give up. Number two, we were talking about medical practice in our community. Where we're really missing is private practice. So on your efforts, you're talking a lot about corporate practice, and I can tell you that's harder to keep people here. They don't get vested as well to also work on private practice. Number three, because I own my own corporation, taxes are of the highest in the state here. And as before, trying to protect an ordinance. That's where I'd like the money to go to. But sometime if you could give the committee or the community, why? Why us? I mean, I don't see that, but that's what the conference would be for. And then lastly,
I'm sorry, and I'll give you back time, but what would you like to hear? Why us? I didn't understand.
why our taxes, sales tax, are amongst the highest for cities in, at least my cursory look, how many people are, oh wow, we win, but I'm not sure, unless those taxes are really necessary, why we're winning at the most, our highest rate. So that's what I mean, if you could. And then lastly, because of the stress that the ordinance passed, I appreciate it. I liked everything you guys said. I know you're here for the best. But I would ask you, Mayor, to recuse yourself because it really looks like ethical concern of a vendetta. Now, also, I didn't hear in all your stuff that this is actually a legal, corporate room, and it sounds like he's guilty without having a fair trial. Now, I understand you tried your due diligence, and I would leave it with whoever's in the area of 3 to make that decision. But so you can stay clean, I would really recommend you recuse yourself from further investigation or treatment. Let these guys take care of it. Mr. Porter looked like he's been doing a good job. Thank you all very much.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Tommy Hosted, 2308 Bob White Court. I've come tonight. I had no clue what was going on here tonight, but I've come tonight and it fits right in anyway. I like the idea about the ethics checks on this because we need ethics checks. But something that I did come for tonight was the fact that there's been one of my members from my church has come forward to ask the city for some help. And when she came forward, she said there's separation between church and state. The city can't help anything to do with the church. Now, I don't know if that came out of this committee. I don't know what office it came out of, but I would call for y'all to be diligently working to find it out and to take care of that. Now, as we look at that, if there's separation in church and state, all the government of the city needs to dissolve tonight for the purpose of there's only 2 churches. One belongs to God, the other one belongs to the devil. Half will go to heaven, the other half's going to go to hell. It won't be a half and a half. there will be a division that a multitude is on the broad road headed for hell. And that's just what's going to happen because the word says so. Now, the thing I want to talk to you about the ethics is the fact that the child abuse that's taken place right here in our own library, right down our own city streets, as we have what's called Pride Days go down the street. Since when is it all right for us to have sexually explicit people come in here and start manipulating our children, teaching them things that is not fit to be taught? It's not fit. And when the city allows for that to take place, you can look at what it says in Romans 1. Not only does God give them over to have degrading passions, men for men and women for women, but he also says that if we do not stand up, then we fall in doing the same thing. You don't have to do the act to be in agreement with it and allow it to go on. Now, I'm here tonight because of what Ezekiel 3:18 says. 3:18 says that if we do not warn those who do wickedly, they will die. According to what God says, they will be cast into the depths of hell. But not only will they be cast into the depths of hell, those in whom have failed to warn them, their hands will have their blood upon them. If you go into Ezekiel 3:19, it tells us that if you warn them and they continue down the same road, they still go into hell. But at the end of that trip, your hands will be found clean. So I'd call for you to change some of these ordinances that are taking place because there's a lot of blood being shed in Clovis, whether it's by illicit things taking place within Clovis or whether it's by those that are indulging in the spirits, as you might want to call them, and getting on our highways. I thank you for my time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, elected officials of Clovis, New Mexico. So first off, look around. Is this a court of law or is this a court of public opinion?
Would you like to give us your name for the record, please?
Logan Brown, I'm sorry, sir.
And where do you live?
I live in Portales. So, like I said, unfortunately, this is starting to look like the latter. It's starting to look like he said. Allegations are being made, and I'm on the side of truth. If these allegations are true, I'll be the first one to ask Commissioner David Bryant for his resignation and a public apology. But with that same standard, Mayor, you have publicly stated from your seat tonight, you stated unequivocally, not allegations, but you said David Bryant did in fact not attend. You said he misused public funds.
Correct.
So under those allegations, if those allegations end up being false, now, sir, you have lied under oath, and I am asking for your resignation, if the allegations are in fact false. But once again, this is not a court of law. This is a court of public opinion, and Mayor, you know this, because in the newspaper article, and I quote, "While the mayor has no authority to remove a city commissioner from office, Morris said he wants to expose Bryant's alleged misdeeds so voters will consider recalling him." So you knew that, Mayor. You knew that you don't have the authority to remove a sitting commissioner, okay? And so you had to go public with these allegations. I would have liked for him to be here. And guys, due process. As the pastor said before, don't we all want due process? Aren't we all innocent until proven guilty? We have not, Mayor, unless you're holding on to some big evidence that we don't know about, that the public is unaware of. Right now, it's literally, people saw him at the introduction. People saw him in the elevator. People saw him at the commission, or this training. But after that, they didn't see him for 2 days. How big are these meetings? Are they 20 people in a room? Or are they 500? I don't know. I haven't been there. I wasn't there. So once again, I'm on the side of truth. But by that same standard, if we're going to hold all elected officials by the same standard, Mayor, you did say, and I'm quoting you, that David Bryant did these things. So if he in fact did not, and he doesn't have to prove himself innocent, he is innocent until proven guilty. And like I said, I want truth. If he did misuse these funds, I will be the first one. I will be on your side, Mayor. But until then, it's hearsay. It's he said, she said, allegations, and please, we can do better. And I thank you for the policy changes. There has to be a way that we can govern these types of things, because they're going to come up again. There's going to be allegations made against someone sometime for something. There has to be a way to actually see these things through. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else this evening? Mr. Muse, good evening.
Jack Muse, 2816 North Prince. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, I'm real tired of hearing this group. It's the same old crap that they've been spousing ever since we started the abortion thing. They took a city commission that was perfectly in tune with what they wanted and twisted it and forced it and caused division in our community. What a powerful team we'd had if they'd have just been patient and waited. And they used David Bryant to just cause all kinds of havoc. But I see nothing Christ-like in their attitude, in the way they're doing it, and I'm tired of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muse. Anyone else this evening? Public comment? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Next is the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, as you know, the consent agenda is here so that you can handle many routine items all at once. Fairly lengthy consent agenda this evening, 17 items. I'll read 2 through 16 for you, or to you, and for the public. Item 2 is request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2188-2023 to approve zone change from RS7 to CG for Providence Subdivision Unit 2. Item 3, request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2189-2023 pertaining to the Local Economic Development Act and amending sections 328.020, 328.120B, and 328.140C of the Economic Development Plan. Item 4, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3200-2023, granting approval of the replat of ABO Highway Subdivision, Tract 8, City of Clovis, Curry County, New Mexico. Item 5, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3201-2023, granting approval of the replat of Lot 15, Will Heights Subdivision, Unit 1, Curry County. Item 6 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3202-2023, granting approval of a replat of for 1419 Brady, otherwise known as 1421 and a half Brady, City of Clovis, Curry County. Item 7, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3203-2023, granting approval of Iris Arbor Subdivision, Unit 5. Item 8 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3204-2023, granting approval of the replat of the Fairfield Subdivision, Unit 1. Item 9, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3205-2023, granting approval of replat of lots 3 and 4 of the Norris Street Business Park Subdivision. Item 10, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3206-2023, granting approval of street name change from Sunshine Circle to David Petty Circle. Item 11, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3207-2023, DFA budget changes. Item 12, request for approval of addendum 3 to intergovernmental agreement between the City of Clovis and the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish for a public shooting range. Item 13, request for approval of budget transfer of funds in the amount of $22,329.67 from Capital Outlay Fund 60 to Fund 878712671110 to purchase and install networking and security cameras at Hillcrest Senior Life Center. Item 14, request for approval of scope and fee from Planned Collaborative for the Mini Great Blocks Streetscape Renovation Grant. Item 15, request for approval to reappoint Shelley Wynn to serve on the Clovis Carver Library Board. Item 16, request for approval to reappoint Tammy Montoya Flowers to serve on the Clovis Housing and Redevelopment Agency Board of Commissioners. That is your consent agenda. Unless there are objections or questions, I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
So move. Second.
Motion from Commissioner Rowley, second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Jones, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous. The motion is carried. The items have been placed. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all the items on the consent agenda. Motion from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Please vote. Commissioner Jones, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you. The vote's unanimous. The motion is carried. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll move on to introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances, where we have two items this evening. The first is becoming an old friend, and I'm told this is the last time we'll see amendments on this one, and it's great to see you. Remind us your name, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the commission. Chris Muirhead with the model.
Muirhead, that's right, Mr. Muirhead. Thank you for being here. For the record, I'll introduce the item. It is request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2185-2023, amending and restating ordinance 2183-2022, adopted on October 20th, 2022, authorizing and approving a drinking water state revolving loan fund agreement by and between the New Mexico Finance Authority and the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority, joined by its member, the City of Clovis, in the principal amount of $15,150,000, plus interest rate and expenses thereon to finance the costs of construction of portions of the Eastern New Mexico rural water system, including but not limited to engineering services, land acquisition, easement acquisition, electrical power to facilities, construction of the raw water conveyance projects for sections 1 and 3 as further described in the loan agreement, and other details concerning the loan agreement, authorizing and approving the pledge of revenues of the 1/4 of 1% increment of the city's municipal gross receipts tax imposed by ordinance number 1138-80 as amended by ordinance 2173-2022. Mr. Muirhead, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. And yes, you hit it on the head. You guys are extremely well versed, but since this is, I think, going to be the last time you see this, so I just wanted to be here to make sure you all understood exactly what it is that you're doing and understand the terms of this. This ordinance approves a loan agreement with the New Mexico Finance Authority for $15,150,000 for the water transportation or pipeline system that is multiple financings have happened. You're all well familiar with that. The pledge, this is an important part, is that 1/4% gross receipts tax that last year you rededicated from fire over to water. There is no outstanding debt with liens against this pledge, so this will be the only debt that it is servicing. The debt is for up to 30 years. There is a 3-year interim period for construction. So the final maturity is actually 33 years out. So once the interim period and the construction's done, the final debt service is set. It will stay at 0.25%, just an administrative fee for interest, so very, very extremely low interest rate. And then you pay that back over 30 years for the system improvements. This was adopted, as you know, in October of last year. The reason it's being amended and restated was the change in the project scope was refined. It has an intercept agreement, which is a convenience for the city, and for the Finance Authority, the Tax and Rev will take out exactly what's needed and send it to the Finance Authority from that, limited to that one pledged revenue. Just again, to hit this because it's really important, that is the only thing the city is pledging. So if there should ever be a shortfall, none of the other local option taxes are pledged to it. The Finance Authority has no lien against those, none of your property taxes, none of your system revenues, or other enterprise funds. It is limited to that 1/4%. It is, again, for 30 years. Happy to answer any questions about it. Like I said, you've seen it many times. If adopted, we need all 6 of the 8 present, need 75%. It would close September 1st. Again, that's when the money would be available. It would be drawn down by the Water Authority over that 3-year period for the project. Interest accrues only on the amounts as they're drawn. So until that money is drawn, even though it closes September 1st, no interest accrues at that 0.25% until money is drawn. Principal doesn't start being paid until after that interim period of 3 years. I'm happy to answer any questions about it, but like I I said, you guys are well-versed.
Yeah, I appreciate you making the trip and being available to answer questions. And you know, I jokingly said that, and, you know, we would take this up as many times as necessary to get it right, because it's such an important tool in what we're trying to accomplish, you know, in completing this water project. And what a blessing to be able to find that kind of money at 0.25, right? So thank you for that, and thanks for the explanation. We'll pause and see if we have any questions. Mayor Pro Tem or Commissioners? If there aren't questions, is there a motion related to the item?
So moved.
Motion for approval from Commissioner George Jones.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Porter. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, please vote. And Commissioner Jones, you made the motion, so I think it's a yes, but your vote, please.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. And so we have 5 in favor and 1 abstention. So our motion has carried, and we're good. You made a comment about needing 6 in your.
Need 75%, but with an abstention.
We're good,
I think-
City Attorney?
So.
We are good, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Mr.
Well,
Morris there. Good.
The motion is carried, and thank you for that explanation.
Absolutely.
Yep. Next, one last action item this evening in resolutions and ordinances, and it is request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2186-2023, amending the delayed repeal provisions of a municipal local option gross receipts tax. Mr. Howalt or Mr. Muirhead?
Yes, okay, so this is related also to the water system improvements and the pipeline. This amends the ordinance adopted in 2020, or early 2021, 2142-2021. In that ordinance, it had a 10-year repeal, that it would repeal at the 10 years. That precludes it from ever being a viable source of repayment of a debt, because the lender would not lend money based on the tax that's going to sunset. So to give the city flexibility for future financings, and so it's not, and Mr. Howalt certainly knows this much better than I, not a burden on the system revenues for the city. This tax, that has been repealed, so it can be used in the future, so that tax is paying it. It also makes a technical change to the dedication provision. The dedication remains the same, but it reduces the coverage requirement from 1.5 to 1.25. That's just to give the city flexibility, so there's not a technical default if it should fall below 1.5, but still be plenty sufficient. So that's what it does.
Great, thanks for that explanation, and I think everyone had the opportunity to get questions answered on that. Are there questions or debate?
Second.
Motion for approval on this item from Commissioner Garza. The second came from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote, please. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. And we are 6 in favor, none opposed. The motion is carried. Thank you. Nothing to deal with under unfinished business, no other action items, so we'll move on to reports of boards, officers, and committees. Do we have a report on Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee meeting that took place on June 19th?
Sure,
Commissioner Paul.
Mayor. So at the meeting on June 19th, we met our new Recreation Director, Miss Denise Burris, and she has hit the ground running our summer youth program that has been a smashing success. We also are looking for some input regarding the Ned Hauk Master Plan. So if you go to, I believe, the city's website, there's a QR code. You can hit that code or hit the link and fill out a survey on what you would like to see in the new plan for Ned Hauk Park. And then the city is in need, I think, as well as across the country, for some lifeguards. So if anyone out there is a certified lifeguard, the city would love to hire you if you pass all the credentials. And I believe we also have a casual employee status where you can just do it when it works for your schedule. So great opportunity for people out there who are lifeguards. We also are having a Yard of the Summer program that is ongoing. And here is the criteria. You can go to the city's website or the Facebook page. There's a form that is there. We are looking for 1 residence from each of the 4 districts to be nominated, 1 zero-scaped residence from each district, 1 business from each district, and 1 zero-scaped business from each district. We've done this in the past for Yard of the Month, but this time we're doing it just 1 in general for the summer. So get online on the website or the Facebook page, download the form, and turn that in. The deadline is Friday, July 14th at 3 o'clock for the nominations, and then there will be a public vote on the city's Facebook page from July 17th through July 28th. And the winners will be recognized at the August 3rd City Commission meeting. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Paula, and great job with Parks and Rec Committee, as well as, just all of the good work that the department itself is getting done. Thanks for that report. Next, do we have a report from Commissioner Jones, who I believe attended the New Mexico Municipal League Policy Committee last Saturday? Commissioner Jones?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So with the policy review, there's actually 5 committees, and I served on the Community, Economic Development, and Governmental Operations, Public Infrastructure, and Human Resources Committee. We reviewed 16 policies or resolutions. We moved 2 of those to municipal policy. Moved 2 to this committee, or I'm sorry, moved 1 to this committee and deleted 4. From those, we brought 2 to remain, which means that there actually might be review during the next legislative session, the 30-day, which brings us to 5 that we ranked. All those were ranked high, and they range from mental health, housing shortage, libraries, and airport building code. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Appreciate you attending that and being involved there. Those are some important items, and it's always great to be a part of shaping that policy that ends up being legislation. So thanks for serving there, and thanks for your report. Next, we have a report on the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority Board meeting. I'll ask for Mayor Pro Tem Bryant or Commissioner Garza to keep me honest on this, because June 22nd feels like a really long time ago at this point. But we did have our meeting actually here in this room as our normal meeting location. When we're in Clovis is the Ingram room. However, it was busy that day, so we were in here, and we had our normal monthly board meeting items such as the monthly financials, but under new business, we did some routine annual type things like adoption of the Open Meetings Act, which is, of course, everyone understands what that's about, but it's a demonstration of our compliance with that Open Meetings Act, and of course, we do a great job with that. We established our meeting schedule for the next year, and updated our capital infrastructure capital improvement plan. Got the approval on that. Let's see. Had a budget adjustment, and then we had 3 easement agreements, all associated with what we call Raw Water 3, which is the last about quarter section of the transmission line that connects Cannon Air Force Base and the city of Portales' water system. And so we're wrapping up those easement agreements, and we'll have that last little phase of that pipeline, which will connect Cannon, which is already connected to Clovis, but then we'll have we'll be connected to Portales with the completion of Raw Water 3. So it was great to see those easement agreements coming in. We heard reports, got a project development update from our engineers, Jacobs, and we just some quick highlights. Finished Water 1, which is the section of the project that will go north from Cannon Air Force Base, the Chavez Housing addition, which is on the north side of the highway from the base itself. Right in there is the main junction vault for the pipeline. And from that junction vault, 15.5 miles north, is where the water treatment facility will be. And but this section of this 15.5 mile section of transmission line, it will be going in beginning this summer. We'll break ground, and that pipe will begin arriving later this summer, which we're very excited about. Engaged in all phases of the project in at one level or another, whether it's easement acquisition, alignment study, design, or in the case of Finished Water 1, construction. Interesting to note, or perhaps for folks that follow our commission meetings that are living in Texaco or have family in Texaco. We know Texaco's in a dire situation with their groundwater, and so we've moved that project up, and through a partnership with EPCOR, we have a plan to complete that lateral and bring Texaco on sooner, and then even have the opportunity for them to purchase water from EPCOR as available until that day, which may be in 2030 or 2031, when we're actually delivering surface water from Ute. With that, unless there are questions, that's my report. Oh, thank you, Commissioner, for reminding us of that. So at the June 15th Commission meeting, you reappointed myself and Commissioner Garza to the Water Authority Board, and we held our hands up and took the oath, along with Councilor Lucero from Portales, who is appointed to that board as well. And so we took the oath, and so for 2 more years, we're serving there. That's right. He says they're stuck with us, but we'll call it serving. So are there other reports? No other reports? Future agenda items, just as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I want to see the development of a proposed resolution that would create a situation where elected officials are policing elected officials when we're traveling and asking for reimbursement. And then we also want to see something that the commission could consider in the way of an ethics ordinance. Anything else coming up, Ms. Burrows?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. The only thing that I have is the Lodgers Tax advisory recommendations on the next agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. And planning and zoning? Yeah. There'll be a planning and zoning meeting between now and then? Yeah. So this evening's consent agenda, I think everyone noticed, was chocked full of planning and zoning items, which is, you've been busy. So that's great. There's activity, there's construction going on around town, so that's good. Upcoming meetings, time and place, water policy. Let me look at the screen and make sure we haven't had any changes since my paper was printed. Okay, Water Policy Committee plans to meet at 8:30 a.m. on Monday, July 10th, here in the North Annex. The Civic Center Policy Committee will meet at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, July 11th. Lodgers Tax will meet at 5:30 p.m., as Commissioner Garza said, on Tuesday, July 11th. And Planning and Zoning, I'm sorry, you mentioned Planning and Zoning, they meet at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, July 12th. And there's more. On the next page, we have Senior Services meeting at 1:30 on Thursday, July 13th. Parks and Rec will meet at 5:30 on Monday, July 17th. Civil Aviation is going to meet at 5:30 on July 18th. LEPC will meet at 1 p.m. on Wednesday, July 19th. The Finance Committee will meet at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, July 19th. And we all know what we're doing for the next several weeks. We're having all of the committee and board meetings. And then the City Commission will meet next on July 20th here in the North Annex. Anything else for the good of the order this evening? Thank you. We are adjourned.